joined by Anatole Pevnev, principal with the Townsend Group. Anatole, during REIT World, you moderated a session on the postmodern REITs. In your view, what's the biggest difference between REITs today versus, say, 10 years ago?
Well, partly there's a maturity aspect of it. REITs have gone through several downturns in the economy in the past 10 years. You had issues back in 98 to 2000, and obviously the most recent economic issues. And the fact that REITs were able to get through this latest one without totally blowing up, I think was a huge positive for investors. And the fact that you were able to raise $20 billion in the outcome of all of that is another positive factor for the REITs going forward.
And do you think these positive factors have caused institutional investors to change their outlook on REITs?
I think institutional investors are more positive on the format, but that doesn't necessarily get you to the strategy of individual REITs. So you still have to focus in on what's each company doing, what is the strength within the management teams, and to a large extent there's a lot of underwriting that goes on, and I think the management community within the REIT managers has broadly gotten more comprehensive in their capability of doing that.
And what do you get from the sense of allocations towards REITs from these funds? Do you think we're going to start seeing more capital come in?
Right now, I don't think you're seeing any wrenching changes in terms of allocations. And it's difficult to judge how much is going to be flown to REITs specifically. While we do see some increase in the allocation to REITs within the real estate spectrum, I think the majority of allocation to REITs still resides within the real estate or within the broader securities portion of major plan sponsors. So it's still tough to gauge whether or not you're seeing any increase and move from private to public.
Do you think that institutions learned any lessons from the experience they had with opportunity funds?
I think the sponsors have. Whether the fund managers have is to be seen. Obviously, you go through a time like this, there are a lot of issues that need to get resolved, and you realize where you made your mistakes. And we made a lot of the same mistakes back in the 80s and in the 90s. So to that extent, I think you'll see some people learn their lessons out of this, and others that will be ready to repeat them in another 10 years.
If 2009 was a year summed up by delevering, strengthening balance sheets, what do you think 2010 will be remembered for?
Well, hopefully for some level of recovery after 2009. What you hear broadly from the open-end funds and even from the closed-end funds is that sometime in the middle of 2010 you'll be bottoming out in terms of valuations, and hopefully we'll start to see some positive movement in terms of valuations at the real estate level. But at this point in time, I don't think anybody's looking to 2010 as some major event right now. I think people are still taking a wait-and-see attitude to see how far we've really gotten past the problems that we really fell into last year.
Great. Anatole, thank you very much.
Thanks.
For REIT.com, I'm Matt Bishar.